Dear students, now we are going to start the new chapter which is called as Plant Growth and Development in Plant Physiology. So in this chapter we are going to discuss in details about characteristics of growth, plant growth regulators, photoperiodism, vernalization, seed germination and dormancy, and finally senescence. These are all the processes we are going to discuss in detail. So what is growth? As you know very well, growth is increasing in height, length, weight and so on. You might have seen that banyan tree. Banyan tree is alamarum. Banyan tree continues to grow for thousands of years. But on some other plants like annual plants, they can completely spend their life within a season or within a year. Can you understand what is the reason behind it? Why some of the plants can be able to grow more than 1000 years, but on the other hand some of the plants can be able to grow within few months or few seasons or one season or even 1 year. How does a zygote gives rise to an embryo and an embryo to seedlings? How does a new plant structure arises from the pre-existing structure? So growth, already you know that. What is growth? So growth is defined as it is an irreversible permanent increase in size. They cannot be written back. Increase in size, shape, number, volume and dry weight. Usually plant growth occurs by cell division, cell enlargement and maturation. Suppose if you see, look at this picture. Here two different types of plants are there. One is bamboo plant, another one is cactus. So bamboo plants are evergreen grasses, and certain species of bamboo plant can grow at the rate of growth rate is 90 centimeter per day. Even one day they can able to grow more than 91 centimeters in some of the grass plant like bamboo plant. But on the other hand, some other plant like saguaro cactus at the right side, another plant is shown. This plant is having very slow growth rate. Bamboo plant is growing very faster. Within a day, they can able to grow 1 meter, nearly 1 meter, around 91 centimeter. They can able to grow within a day. But on the other hand, another plant is here, which are taking very slow rate. The rate of growth of 1 inch in first 10 years, and yes, it does not begin to flower until about 60 years. Then what will happen? Then the lifespan exceed more than 150 years and takes 75 to 100 years to grow a side of arm. So such a major differences are there in such a plant growth. So what are the characteristic features of growth? Actually growth increase in protoplasm at cellular level. Stem and roots are intermediate in growth due to a continuous cell division, and it is called open form of growth. Then the primary growth of the plant is due to the activity of apical meristem. Already we have studied in the anatomy the apical meristems which are present in the shoot tips and root tips. These are having meristematic tissues or continuous state of division which can be able to divide continuously. The new cells are added to the root and shoot apex, causing linear growth of the plant body. The secondary growth might be occurs due to vascular cambium and car cambium or new cells to the cause of increase in growth. Leaves, flowers, fruits are also limited growth in the plant or determinate or closed form of growth. Some of the monocarpic annual plant produce flowers only once during its lifetime. Afterwards they die. For example, paddy plant, beans plant, they can able to produce fruits once and they die. So monocarpic perennial produce flowers only once during a lifetime, but the plants survive for many years. For example, bamboo plant. Polycarpic perennial produces flowers every year during the lifetime. For example, coconut. So this will be helping us to understand about the basic characteristic features of growth. Then we are going to discuss about indications of growth. How can we say that the plant is growing? So growth in a plant can be measured in terms of increasing length or girth in root and stems. increase in thrust or dry weight, increase in area or volume by the weight of fruits and leaves, increase in number of cells produced. By this way, we can able to measure the growth of plants. Usually, there are three phases of growth which are called as formative phases, elongation of phases, maturation phases. During formation of phases, especially in the meristematic tissues, the cells are divided continuously to produce huge number of cells. So in the meristematic tissues, they are continuous state of division which can able to produce a huge mass of cells. This is called formative phase. So this elongation phase, the newly formed data cells are pushed out to the meristematic zone and increasing in the volume. It requires oxygen and food supply. Deposition of new cell wall material also will be added. So addition of protoplasm and development of central vacuole also takes place. Then finally, the cells become mature. So this is third stage, that is maturation phase. So during this stage, the cells attain mature form and size. Thickening differentiation takes place after differentiation. The cell does not grow further, that's all. So the meristematic cells become permanent. Once it is become permanent, they lose the division or cell division either temporarily or permanently. Such a type of things will be takes place in the maturation stage. So we can also able to measure the growth rate by artificial method. For example, we can germinate a bean seed. So after few days, they can able to germinate the radicle grown up into a white color tube-like structure. With the help of a ballpoint pen, mark a equal length of level. After some time, we can able to identify that. Look at this picture. We can able to see it is increasing in growth in various form, various length ways. So in such a way, we can able to measure. Now, we are going to study about the stages of growth. Actually, the stages of growth is concerned. Dear children, now we are going to see about kinetics of growth. Among these kinetics of growth, first we shall discuss about stages in growth. Usually, this is total growth period from initial to the final stage of growth is called grand period of growth. The total growth is plotted against time and the growth rate. If you plot a time on x-axis and the size and weight of the organ on y-axis, we can get a S-shaped curve. So this curve is called sigmoid curve. S-shaped sigmoid curve, which is obtained. From this, we can able to understand that various four stages or various four phases of growth rate can be seen. They are lag phase, log phase, decelerating phase, maturation phase. So during this lag phase, it is an initial phase. So in this phase, new cells are formed from pre-existing cells very slowly. So it is found in the tip of the stem, root and branches. So it is an initial stage of growth. So the growth rate is very slow. In other words, its growth start from this period is very less. So during lag phase, the growth is very slow. So next stage is called log phase. During this log phase, the growth rate is very high speed. So here the newly formed cell increase in size rapidly by deposition of cell wall material. So growth rate is maximum and reaches top because of the cell division. And physiological process are quite fast. So the volume of the protoplasm is also increases. It results in rapid growth and causes elongations of internode in the stem. Then the third stage is a limited stage. After high speed, the growth rate is slowly decrease like initial stage. So the decelerating phase or declining phase or slow growth rate phase, the rate of growth decreases and becomes limited owing to internal and external or both factors because the metabolic process become slow. That's why it is a slow process. Then finally, steady state period. So hereafter, the growth may be either permanently or temporarily maximum stop, but little bit growth may be continued. So that stage is called steady state or maturation phase. In this phase, the cell wall thickening due to new particle deposition on the inner surface of the cell wall takes place. Then the overall growth is reduced and becomes constant. The growth rate becomes zero. So thereafterwards, growth will completely stop either temporarily or permanently. The second kinetics of growth is types of growth rate. There are basically three different types of growth rate is there. One is arithmetic growth rate, another one is geometric growth rate, and third one is both arithmetic and geometric growth of embryo. What is arithmetic growth rate? Arithmetic growth rate is very rare. Look at this picture. This picture is showing that what is arithmetic growth rate. For example, the yellow color part is a single cell. If the single cell is undergoing cell division, it is divided into two cells. Out of this two cells, one cell become body cell. That means the body cell will not divide again and they will become into permanent. Then the yellow color cell is continued to doing process. Then the second stage, the yellow color cell once again divide, but the violet color or pale blue color will not be divided again because they have become permanent. Then once again this cell is divided. So once again it is producing one more cell. So this type of process is continuous. So this type of process of cell division or growth rate is called arithmetic growth rate. So if the length of a plant organ is plotted against time, it shows a linear curve. So if you look at the graph which is showing here, it is a straight line curve. This is linear curve. So if you keep your time in x-axis and the growth in height of the plant in y-axis, then we can get a straight line, linear, constant linear straight line graph we can get. So this is called arithmetic growth. So during this arithmetic growth, the rate of growth is constant and it is increasing in arithmetic manner. That means it is dividing, only one cell is allowed to divide between the two resulting progeny. So even though it is producing two progeny, only one cell undergoes cell division, the other cell is going to be a body cell. That means it is permanent cell. So one continues to divide but the other undergoes cell cycle arrest. That means and begins to develop, differentiate and mature. After each round of cell division, only a single cell remains capable of division and only one new body cell will be formed. So this type of growth is called arithmetic growth rate. So which is making a straight line curve. The second stage is called geometric growth rate. So this can be seen through with the help of this picture. See here, the first one is mother cell. After first cycle, one cell divided into two cells. So two progeny cells are formed. Then the two cells both are divided in the second cycle. So the second cycle, each and every two progeny cells can be able to produce four progeny cells. That means each and every cell will be divided. Then in the third cycle, which is producing 4 into 8. That means each and every 4 cells of progeny cells of second cycle will be producing 8 cells in the third cycle. So in such a way, it is called geometrical progression or geometric cell division. So each and every cells are undergoing cell division. So this type of cell divisions are very common in animals. So this type of growth is called geometric growth rate. So this growth occurs in many higher plants and even in plant organs, and it is measured in size of weight. So in plant growth, geometrical cell division results in all cells of an organism or tissues are actively mitotically divide. So large plant and animal pods are produced this way. In fact, it is a common in animals but rarely in plant except when they are young and small. So exponential growth curve can be expressed. So that's all about geometrical growth rate. And the third growth rate is called arithmetic and geometric growth rate simultaneously, which takes place in embryo. So this can be seen with the help of your diagram. Here in this occasion, both growth occur continuously. Both arithmetic as well as geometric progression, which will be common in embryo plant. Plants often grow by combinations of arithmetic and geometric growth pattern. The young embryonic plant grows geometrically and cell division become restricted to certain cells at the tip. Look at this picture. This picture which will be showing a tip of the cell, that is meristematic tissue, which is showing a continuous state of division. So these are the meristematic divisions of cells which are present at the tip. So after this point, growth is allowed to slower arithmetic type, but some of the new cells that are produced can develop into their mature condition and begin carrying out specialized type. They temporarily or permanently stop dividing. So this type of growth is called both arithmetic and geometric growth in embryo. Now we are going to see another concept which is called as absolute growth and relative growth. What is the differences between absolute growth and what do you call relative growth rate? Look at this picture. This picture will be helping you to understand what is the differences between absolute growth and relative growth. Look at the first picture and the second picture. There are two leaves, leaf A and leaf B. Both leaves, that is leaves A and B, we can draw an outline. Around the leaves, we can draw an outline. So to two leaves A and B drawn at a particular time, then after some time they can increase the growth. At a certain time, it is increased by, the first leaf is increased by A1. So A to A1. The second leaf is increased by B to B1. So A and B are the area of the leaf at a initial time. A dash and B dash are the area of the leaves after some time. So A dash minus A and B dash minus B represent absolute increase area. That means after some time, if you see A increase from 5 centimeters square to 10 centimeters square. So increasing length is 10 centimeters square minus 5 centimeters square is 5 centimeter. So result is 5 centimeter. Look at the second picture, second leaf. So B is original area is 50 centimeters square. So after certain time it is increased by 55 centimeter. So the increase in area is 55 centimeter minus 50 centimeter. This is also 5 centimeter. So this comparison of leaf A and B, so this is called as absolute growth rate. But on the other hand, if you calculate, the percentage increases. That means if you calculate the increase in percentage way, that means the second one is increased by how much amount it is increased. So 5 centimeter to 10 centimeter, it is double. So the growth rate is double. But here 50 centimeter to 55 growth centimeter is very slow. So the rate of growth in A is greater than rate of growth in B. So this measurement is called relative growth rate. So understand the differences between absolute growth rate and relative growth rate. Now we are going to discuss about factors affecting growth. Like photosynthesis and respiration, growth is also affected by both internal and external factors. So plant growth is influenced by the variety of external factors and internal factors. We can see about external factors like water, nutrition, temperature, oxygen, light. These are comes under external factors. As you know very well, what is essential for the cell enlargement as well as growth in size of the cell. So the turgidity of the cells helps in growth extension. Then water provides the medium for enzymatic activities need for the growth. So the availability of water will be helping the rate of growth. That means it is directly proportional. Then availability of nutrition. Nutrition play an important role in the formation of protoplasm. Both macro and micro elements are very important as a source of energy. For example, carbon, oxygen in carbon dioxide and hydrogen in water are assimilated in photosynthesis. So all the nutrients are very much essential for the growth. So it is directly affect the growth rate. Temperature. Temperature is also play a significant role in the growth of plant. A proper growth of plant occurs at a certain temperature between 28 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius of temperature. And above 45 degrees Celsius will damage the protoplasm and the growth is stopped, or it affect the growth. Availability of oxygen. Oxygen has a vital role in growth of plant because during respiration or metabolic activities, energy can be produced because of the oxidation. So it helps in releasing metabolic energy essential for growth activities. So it is necessary for respiration. So growth rate will be increases if oxygen availability is increases. Light is also an important role because with the help of light, plant can be able to synthesize the food material during photosynthesis. So availability of sunlight will be making the plant to grow. So availability of light is also affecting the growth rate. Light has its own contribution in the growth of plant. Light is an important for the growth and photosynthesis. Light stimulates healthy growth. In the absence of light, the plant may be grown with yellow in color. The green color part is become into pale yellow in color. This is called etiolation. So etiolation may be occur if there is any absence of light. Then we can see about factors affecting growth of internal. Genes are the intercellular factors for the growth. Then phytohormones which are present inside the plant are the intercellular factors for growth, like auxin, gibberellins, cytokinins, which are doing an important role. Then carbohydrate nitrogenous compounds ratio, CN ratio. The ratio of carbohydrate and nitrogenous compounds regulate the specific pattern of growth in plants. For example, if a plant contains more nitrogenous compounds as compared to carbohydrate, it produces more protoplasm and less mechanical tissue and vigorous vegetative growth. And the other hand, if it is having less nitrogenous compound and more amount of carbohydrate, favor for the synthesis of more wall material and less protoplasm or more mechanical tissue as well. So in such a way, these are doing an important role. Next we are going to see about measurement of growth. So we can able to measure the growth of the plant by direct measurement. That means we can take a scale and measure the plant directly. Then we can able to measure the plant very easily. So but a specialized techniques we are using with the help of a device called lever axonometer or arc axonometer. Look at the picture. This picture is showing arc axonometer. With the help of an arc axonometer, we can able to measure the growth of plant. The increase in length of the stem tip can easily be measured by an arc axonometer, which consists of a small pulley. Look at this picture. there is a pulley on left side. It is a circular pulley is there to the axis, which is attached to a long pointer sliding over a graduated arc. Graduated arc means the arc is having various reading. The length of the growth can be measured with the help of this arc, graduated arc. A thread, one end of the thread which is tied with the stem tip, and the another end of the tip is tied with weight passes over the pulley very tightly. As soon as the stem tip is increased in length, the pulley moves and the pointer slide over the graduated arc. Then we can be able to measure the reading. So the reading is taken. The actual increase in the length of the stem is then calculated by knowing the length of the pointer and the radius of the pulley. Then if the radius of the pulley is, suppose if it is radius of the pulley is 4 inch and the length of the pointer is 20 inches of the growth, then we can able to measure the actual length of the growth. The actual length of the growth can be measured with the help of a formula called distance traveled by the pointer into radius of the pulley by length of the pointer. How can we measure the growth of the point? The actual length of the plant growth can be measured by distance traveled by the pointer into radius of the pulley by length of the pointer. The distance traveled by the pointer is given that 10 and the radius of the pulley is 4 inches. Length of the pointer is 20 inches. That means 10 into 40, 10 into 4, 40 by 20 is equal to 2 inches. So actual growth of length is 2 inches. By this way, we can be able to measure the length of the plant. Then we are going to see about sequence of the development process in plant. The sequence development of process we can able to see by differentiation, de-differentiation, re-differentiation and plasticity. What is differentiation? So we know that already we had studied about differentiation, re-differentiation and re-differentiation and plasticity in plant tissue culture. The same process might be takes place. Now we are going to see another concept which is called as plant growth regulators. The plant growth regulators we can able to classify into two different plant growth regulators. This will be indicating by a flow chart. Look at this flow chart. This flow chart will be helping you to understand about what are the different types of plant growth regulators. Basically, plant growth regulators are classified into natural plant growth regulators and synthetic. Natural plant growth regulators are called as phytohormones. Phyto means plant. Hormones means chemical substances, and organic chemical substances which are produced by plant are called as natural plant growth substances. These natural plant growth substances are further divided into plant growth promoters, plant growth inhibitors. Plant growth promoters means these are the chemical substances which can stimulate the growth of the plant, like auxins, gibberellins, cytokinins. On the other hand, some other chemical substances, they can inhibit the growth. They will not allow the growth. They are ethylene and abscisic acid. These are all natural hormones, natural phytohormones. Apart from this, artificial or synthetic hormones which are similar to phytohormones which are synthesized in the laboratory, which are naphthalene acetic acid, 2,4-dichlorophenoxyacetic acid, 2,4,5-trichlorophenoxyacetic acid. These are all called as synthetic phytohormones or plant growth regulators. Now one by one we can able to see. Among the plant growth regulators, the plant growth promoters will be seen first. Among them, auxin. During the year 1980, I think, Charles Darwin noted the unilateral growth and curvature of canary grasses of coleoptile of light. With the help of F.W. Went experiment, you might have studied in 10th class. With the help of F.W. Went experiment, we can able to understand that auxin is a very important role about the growth of plant. What is F.W. Went experiment? This experiment will be helping you to understand that what is Went experiment to study about auxin. Look at this picture. So this is Went experiment. So this Went experiment have been help us to identify how the auxin was discovered. When the Avena sativa, a wood plant seedlings, have attained a height of around 15 to 30 centimeter, about 1 millimeter in thickness, of coleoptile, tip is cut off. The pink color part is removed. That is coleoptile. Coleoptile means a tip of the plant, tip of the wood plant. After germination of the wood plant, we can take the tip of the plant is removed. That tip of the plant is called coleoptile. We can cut off this tip of the coleoptile. This apical part is source of natural auxin. Usually, the auxin is present at the tip, either shoot tips or root tips. That is why we can remove the tips. Now the tip is now placed in the agar block. Agar block is natural material which can be able to absorb the nutrient material. Now the tip of the coleoptile which are having auxin. Now the auxin is moved to this agar block. So this picture will be helping you to understand how the auxin is diffused or imbibed into the agar block in the form of pink color it is showing. Originally it will not be pink color, but this picture will be helping you to understand. In order to understand which can be indicated by the color. So the pink color is moving from coleoptile of wood plant is moving into agar block. So here auxin is moving into the agar block. Now the tip of now placed on agar block for the few hours. During this period, the auxin diffuses out of this tip into the agar block. The auxin containing agar block is now placed on one side of the depicated stump of Avena coleoptile. Already we removed the Avena coleoptile, In that part, just one tip is just placed. Then auxin from the agar block diffuse down through the coleoptile along the side of which auxin agar block is placed. Then which side of the agar block is placed, that area is grow. So that means the agar block within auxin is placed on the another decapitated coleoptile within an hour. The coleoptile with the auxin agar block bends on the opposite side where the agar block is placed. So this curvature can help us to measure auxin is placed. That means so auxin will be helping to bend, moving towards light. This is depends upon the auxin. So because of this Went experiment, it is discovered that auxin. Auxin is naturally occur in the form of indole acetic acid. Auxin basically two different types, namely natural auxin, synthetic auxin. The natural auxins occurring in plants occur due to nature. These are called as natural auxin. On the other hand, if it is produced in the laboratory, they are called as synthetic auxin. Natural auxins we can able to see with lot of example: indole acetic acid IAA, indole propionic acid IPA, indole butyric acid IBA, phenol acetic acid, PAA. Similarly, synthetic acid is prepared in the laboratory. These are synthesized artificially and have properties like oxin. They are 2,4-dichlorophenoxy acetic acid 240, 2,4,5-dichlorophenoxy acetic acid 2,4,5-T, NaE, naphthalene acetic acid. These are all synthetic oxin. How these are occur? So generally, this oxin is naturally occur. So naturally occur either in the tip of the plant, either shoot tips or root tips. So in such a way, the occurrence of this oxin is generally produced by the growing tip of the stem and roots, from where they migrate to the region of the action. That means even though they are producing from the tip of the plant, either shoot tips or root tips, near to the meristematic tissue, they can travel along various parts. So wherever it is necessary, they can be able to move. So as we discussed that axin is divided into two types, namely natural axins and synthetic axin. So free axin, they move from one tissue to the other tissue like IAA. They do not diffusible like IAA to aspartic acid. Amino acids are having tryptophan as a precursor of IAA. That means indole acetic acid IAA of axin is formed from an amino acid called tryptophan and zinc. Zinc is required for the synthesis of axin. Axin has similar chemical structure of IAA. So axin is transported, is a polar in transport. It includes basipetal and acropetal. Basipetal means transport through phloem through shoot. That means shoot to root. Acropetal means transported from xylem from root to shoot. So if it is moving from root to shoot through xylem, they are called as acropetal. If it is moving from leaf, that means phloem, from the shoot to the root, then this is called as basipetal. So in axin is can able to move both acropetal and basipetal movement. So bioassay of Avina Sateva experiment of Venn will be helping us to understand about the curvature test. So another important aspects of axin is the physiological effects. Physiological effect of axin is very, very important. So axin, they can able to promote cell elongation in stem and in coleoptile. At higher concentration of axin, which can inhibit the elongations of root, but induce more lateral roots. It promotes growth of root only at extremely low concentration. And moreover, axin can suppress the growth in lateral buds by the apical buds due to the axin produced at the apical buds. This is called apical dominance. That means if the axin is present at the tip of the plant, which can allow the plant to grow only in apical, that means the tip plant can able to grow, but it is stopping or suppress the lateral growth. So this process is called apical dominance. Axin prevent abscission. Abscission means premature leaf drop. Not only premature leaf drop, if there is any leaf or flower or fruit is dropped from plant, this will, due to a certain process is called abscission. If there is any abscission is there, leaf will be fall down from the tree, from flowers will be fall down from the plant, or even fruits will be fall down from the plant. This is due to abscission. So, but axin is preventing abscission. So, it is responsible for the initiation of promotion of cell division in cambium. So, usually the cambium is divided to produce secondary xylem and secondary phloem. So, the initiation of cell division in cambium, which will be responsible for this axin. So, axin is responsible for the secondary growth and tumor. So, this property of induction of cell division has been exploited in tissue culture techniques and for the formation of callus as well. Axin stimulates respiration. Axin induces vascular differentiation as well. And another important agricultural role of auxin is it is used to eradicate weeds. That means the unwanted plants which are present in the plant are called as weeds. Kalaichidil. This unwanted plant called weeds can be removed by spraying the artificial synthetic auxin called 2,4-dichlorophenoxyacetic acid or 2,4,5-trichlorophenoxyacetic acid, 2,4-D and 2,4,5-T. Synthetic auxins are used in the formation of seedless fruits like parthenocarpic fruit. It is used to break the dormancy in seeds. What is dormancy? Usually the seeds used to be germinated to produce young sapling. So when it is placed in the soil, if you are watering. But some of the plants, some of the seeds cannot be germinated. They can sleep inside. So the sleeping conditions of the seed inside the seed is called as dormancy. But auxin is breaking the dormancy of seeds. It is inducing flowering in a pineapple by naphthalene acetic acid and 2,4-dichlorophenoxyacetic acid. Increase the number of female flowers and fruits in Cucurbitaceae family. So these are all agricultural role of auxin. Now we are going to see about second important phytohormones are called as gibberellins. The effect of gibberellins had been known in Japan since early 1800 years, where certain rice plants were found in agricultural field with extraordinary growth, which will be called as Bakane disease or foolish shilling disease in rice. There was an agriculturist, that is farmer, due to Gibberella fujikuri, then what happened? This Gibberella fujikuri is a fungus which is producing a certain chemical substance called gibberellin and gibberellic acid. Due to this chemical, the plants are growing extraordinary growth. The rice plants are growing extraordinary growth. This was found by Kurosawa in Japan. Kurosawa is not a scientist. Actually, he is an agriculturist. He is a farmer. So he has observed in his field. Some of the plants are growing very fast and tall. So very long internal growth of the plant. This is due to something is present in it. Then later he found that it is gibberellic acid. He has taken this plant to the agricultural department. He found that it is a chemical called gibberellic acid. So gibberellic acid which can able to stimulate or induce cell elongation. Due to the cell elongation, the plant are growing in extraordinary growth called Bakane or foolish disease. So later this active substance was separated from fungus and named it is gibberellin by Yabuta, 1937. These are more than 100 gibberellins reported from both fungi and higher plants. These gibberellins will be named as GA1, GA2, GA3 and so on. GA3 is the first discovered gibberellin. The major site of gibberellin production in the plant is parts like embryo, roots and young leaves near the tips. Immature seeds are rich in gibberellins. So gibberellins are chemically related to terpenoids. So terpenoids are the precursor like natural rubber, carotenoids and steroids form the 5-carbon precursor. An isoprenoid unit called isopentenyl pyrophosphate through a number of intermediate. So these are the primary precursor is acetate. So acetate is a precursor for gibberellin. All gibberellins have gibbon ring structure. So these gibberellins can transport in a plant is non-polar. Gibberellins are translocated through phloem and also occur in xylem due to the lateral movement between vascular bundles. So bioassay of gibberellin is seeds in dwarf pea plant allowed to germinate. Certain dwarf plants are very short. Or rosette plant like a cabbage. If you spray gibberellins on rosette plant or some of the dwarf pea plant on the coleoptile, gibberellin solution is applied on some seedlings. Then they can able to grow very faster. The apical length is measured by gibberellic acid stimulating epigastric growth and extraordinary growth. From this we can able to understand that gibberellin can able to stimulate elongation. So another important question of gibberellin is physiological effect of gibberellin. This is examination point of view is concerned, this is very important. Gibberellic acid produces extraordinary elongation of the stem caused by cell division and which will be followed by cell elongation, like oxen. Certain rosette plant. So rosette plant means very short plant like cabbage. This rosette plant can exhibit excessive internodal growth when they are treated with gibberellin. This sudden elongation of stem followed by flowering. So if you spray gibberellin, then they can elongate very fastly. A sudden elongation will be happen. Immediately after the sudden elongation, there is flowering. Flowers will be formed. This is called bolting. Very important 2 mark question. What is bolting? So, if you spray gibberellins and rosette plant, a sudden elongations are occur, then the length of the plant will be grow very faster. Then immediately after elongation, sudden elongation, flowering will be occur. This process is called bolting. So bolting is occurred by gibberellins. Gibberellins break dormancy in potato tubers. Usually many biennial plants and perennial plants, they can able to flowering during the second year. During first year they can grow with vegetative part. But if you keep this plant in low temperature, under low temperature, then these plant can able to blooming the flower in the very first year itself. But on the other hand, without if you kept in cold condition, if you spray the gibberellins, then these plants are flowering in the very first year itself. Biennial means 2 years plant, perennial means multiple year plant. So both the plants can able to produce the flowers in the very first year if you are spraying gibberellins. Then agricultural role of these gibberellins are the formation of seedless fruits like parthenocarpy in axon without fertilization is induced by gibberellins. So seedless tomato, seedless apple, seedless cucumber can be produced by applying gibberellins, so which are producing parthenocarpic fruits. It promotes the formation of male flowers in cucurbitaceae. It develops the crop improvement. Uniform bolting and increased uniform seed production. It improves the number and size of the fruits in grapes, and also it is increasing yield of grapes. It promotes elongations of internodal region in sugarcane without decreasing sugar content. So sugar content is also increases, the internodal region is also increases. So the yield, the productivity of the sugarcane is increases. The promotion of flowering in long day plant even under short day condition is also increases. It is also stimulate the seed germinations. That's all about gibberellins. Now we are going to see about another phytohormones are called cytokinins. The presence of cell division inducing substances in plant was first demonstrated by Haberlank in the year 1913 in coconut milk, which contains cell division inducing substances. In the year 1954, Skook and Miller discovered that the autoclaved DNA from herringfish sperms stimulated cell division in tobacco pit cells. They all called this cell division inducing principle is called as cytokinins. That is kinetic. Cytokinin is formed in root apex, shoot apex, birds and young fruits. The precursor of cytokinins are purine adenine. So adenine is a precursor of cytokinin formation. We can bioassay with the experiment neem cotyledon are measured and placed in cytokinin solution as well as in ordinary water. The enlargement of cotyledon is an indication of cytokinin activity. Cytokinin can transport. The distributions of cytokinin in plants is not as wide as those of axin and gibberellins, but found mostly in roots. It will not be available everywhere else like auxin and gibberellin. Auxin and gibberellins are present in almost tip of the shoot and tip of the root, as well as the gibberellins are present in almost all younger part of embryos, younger part of tender part of the plants. But cytokinins will be occur only at the root. So cytokinin appear to be translocated through xylem. The physiological effect of cytokinin is very important. Cytokinin promotes cell division along with the presence of auxin, IAE. It induces cell enlargement associated with auxin and gibberellin. Cytokinins can be able to break the dormancy in certain light sensitive seeds like tobacco and induces seed germination. So, seed dormancy is break and stimulate seed germination. Cytokinins promote the growth of lateral buds in the presence of apical buds. Applications of cytokinin delays the process of aging by nutrient mobilization. It is called as Richman-Long effect. It is very important to mark question. What is Richman-Long effect? So applications of cytokinin delay the process of aging by the nutrient mobilization. So age of the plant will be decreases. Aging of the plant is decreases. That means the lifelong of the plant will be increases by the cytokinin. This is called Richman-Long effect. Cytokinin increase the rate of protein synthesis. Cytokinin induces the formation of interfascicular cambium. Cytokinin overcomes the apical dominance. Cytokinin induces the formation of new leaves, chloroplast, lateral shoots. Plant accumulates fluid very active with the help of cytokinins. That's all about the physiological effect of cytokinins. Now we are going to see about the growth inhibitors like ethylene. So far we had studied about growth promoters. So auxin, gibberellins, cytokinins, they can able to stimulate the growth of the plant. Now two more hormones we are going to explain in detail. These are called growth inhibitor. The left side of this diagram will be helping us to understand about the physiological effect. One is ethylene, another one is abscisic acid. Now we shall discuss about ethylene. Ethylene is a gaseous phytohormone. Almost all the plant tissues promote ethylene gas in minute quantities. Denning in the year 1924 found that ethylene stimulates the ripening of lemon. In the year 1934, R. Gain found that ripening bananas contain abundant ethylene. Similarly, Cocken and et al. In the year 1935 identified the ethylene as a natural plant hormone. Maximum synthesis occurs during climacteric ripening of fruits and tissues undergoing senescence. Senescence means mature, are going to be adult. It is formed in almost all the plant pods like root, leaves, flowers, fruits and seeds. So when it is becoming to mature, ethylene may be formed there. Ethylene can be able to transport very easily because they are gaseous form. So ethylene can easily diffuse inside the plant through intercellular space. The precursor of ethylene is, it is a derivative of amino acids, methionine, linolenic acid and fumaric acid. Bioassay of ethylene is gas chromatography. Ethylene can be measured by gas chromatography. This techniques helps the detection of the exact amount of ethylene from different plant tissues like lemon and orange. Then physiological role. of ethylene. Ethylene stimulates respiration and ripening of fruits. It stimulates radial growth in stem and root and inhibits linear growth. That means ethylene can stop the growth in height, but they can increase the grip. Grip means all the plants can increase the wide due to ethylene. Ethylene can break the dormancy of birds, seeds and storage organs. So due to the breakup dormancy, they can able to germinate. It stimulates the formation of abscission zone in leaves, flowers and fruits. Abscission means dropping down of the leaves or shedding of the leaves, flowers and fruits due to the process called abscission. But ethylene stimulates the formation of abscission layer. Due to this, leaves, fruits and seeds, leaves, flowers and fruits may be fallen from the plant. So this makes the leaves to shed prematurely. So inhibition of stem elongation, that is shortening of internode, which will be done by ethylene. Ethylene in lower concentration, ethylene helps in root initiation. Growth of lateral roots and root hairs will be increases with the help of ethylene. They increase the absorption of surface of the plant root by utilization of ethylene. The growth of fruit is stimulated by ethylene in some plant. It is more marked in climacteric fruits. Ethylene causes epinasty as well. Then agricultural role of ethylene. Ethylene normally reduces flowering in plant except pineapple and mango. Remaining all the plants, they can reduces the flowering. It increases the number of female flowers and decreases the number of male flowers. Ethylene spray in cucumber crops produces female flowers and increases the yield of the plant. Then finally, we can discuss about another growth inhibitor hormone called abscisic acid. In the year 1963, the hormone was first isolated by Adicott et al. From young cotton balls and named as abscissin 2. Eagles and Waring during the year 1963-64. These two scientists have been isolated a dormancy-inducing substances from the leaves of betula and called it a dormant. But in the year 1965, it was found by Carnforth et al. Both dormant and abscissin are chemically same compound and it is called as abscisic acid. So, earlier it was named as a material called dormant. Later, it was called as abscissin. Both are same compound, that is abscisic acid. Abscisic acid hormone is found abundantly inside the chloroplast of green cells. The precursor of abscisic acid is mevalonic acid pathway of xanthophyll. So xanthophylls are the precursor of abscisic acid. Abscisic acid is transported to all parts of the plant through diffusion as well as through xylem and phloem. The chemical structure of abscisic acid is carotenoid structure. The bioassay is rice coleoptile. The inhibition of indole acetic acid induces straight growth of rice seedlings coleoptile. The major physiological effect of abscisic acid is most important. It helps in reducing the transpiration rate by closing stomata. So abscisic acid is inhibit the potassium plus ion uptake by guard cells and promote leakage of malic acid. As a result, closure of stomata. This has been studied in the previous class. Abscisic acid spoil chlorophylls, proteins and nucleic acid of the leaves, making into yellow. So this is a negative aspects, or this is also called as antagonistic effect. Inhibition of cell division and cell elongation is occurred due to abscisic acid. Abscisic acid is a powerful growth inhibitor. They can stop the growth. It causes 50% of inhibition of growth in oat plant. It includes buds and seed dormancy. That means it is stimulating seed dormancy. It promotes the abscission of leaves, flowers and fruits by forming abscission layer. Abscisic acid plays an important role in plants during water stress, during drought condition. It results in loss of turgor pressure and closure of stomata. Abscisic acid has an antioxidant, anti-gibberellin property. That means it is antagonistic activity with oxin and gibberellin. Abscisic acid promote senescence. Senescence means maturity of the plant, and the plant become dry, yellow and brown. That means leaves lack of chloroplast and lose its green in color. By causing loss of chlorophyll pigment, decreasing the rate of photosynthesis and changing the rate of proteins and nucleic acid synthesis. Agricultural role. Agricultural role of abscisic acid is most important one. Some of the plant like Cannabis sativa induces male flower formation on female plant. Induction of flower in short day plants. It promotes sprouting in storage organ like potato. Abscisic acid play an important role in plants during water stress, drought conditions. It inhibits the shoot growth and promote growth of root system. This character protect the plant from water stress. Hence, abscisic acid is called as stress hormone. That's all about phytohormones.